I remember working at an art gallery in Hollywood, and I was running late, and there was this rusting, old, green, Huffy mountain bike in the back it's just a piece of crap. And I'm like, well, it's either I'm going to lose my job and possibly miss the bus and not make it, or this is my only chance to just maybe make this trip. So I took off, and when I got to the corner where I would have taken the bus passed up that bus stop because it was too full. So I make a left and kind of get behind the bus and start going up this huge, massive hill that to me seemed impossible to climb. And there I was, passing up the bus and passing up most cars too. And I see a second bus of the same bus. And I'm like, whoa, 2 buses, this is great. So I just keep on going. Now I'm really feeling jazzed. Sun's shining, I'm really happy. I'm riding my bike. This is really fucking awesome. And I finally get to my destination, 3rd bus. And I'm like, oh, 3 buses. I'm like, I felt like I discovered something. I'm like, does nobody know you can get around on a bicycle? Because like, it's really fast. And so I walked up to my coworker, Mario, and I'm like, hey man, I think I'm gonna become a bicyclist. Yeah, I'm gonna become a bicyclist.
In the 1800s, the bicycle was well on its way to becoming the premier form of transportation. So much that in Los Angeles, a cycling boom led to the creation of the California Cycleway, a magnificent bicycle highway that would carry cyclists from Pasadena to downtown. Soon, Los Angeles transformed into a public transportation mecca. It was home to one of the farthest-reaching streetcar systems in the world. 9 out of 10 citizens rode the streetcar for years. But car giant General Motors had bigger plans. GM bought and then phased the streetcar out in favor of freeways, which were designed to cut through neighborhoods and communities. General Motors was indicted in 1948 for monopolizing transportation systems and fined $5,000. But the damage was already done. Los Angeles became the car capital of the world.
It's really sad. You know, it breaks my heart. I was born in LA, and I was born in the 70s. And by then already it was a mess. And there was no real looking back at that moment to change it to a place where the city could be made for humans versus the thing that gets the humans around.
I don't know what it's like to not have a car.
You gotta have it, you know, it's a necessity of life. There's not enough public transportation to get you around.
We're at a time in history where we need to make some changes, and what that means is making space for other road users.
The motorists themselves aren't quite awake enough yet to the idea of multimodal ways of getting around to respect, honor, and even keep you safe out there as a bicyclist or as a pedestrian. It seems absurd to some people to like take on a bicycle way of going, but it's definitely much more absurd for car mobility to be the only kind of mobility that seems to make sense for Angelenos.
Why isn't the city doing more? Why aren't the laws doing more? Like, there's just not enough being done.
I'm a bike messenger. I get around by bike only. I've got a tandem. I go on tours. But a lot of the time I end up talking about the advocacy about bicycles. I end up talking about the struggle of getting people to bike. You know, and I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to Copenhagen and ridden in spaces where bicycles are just the way you get around. And it's amazing. It's beautiful.
I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel great. I can ride 200 miles in one day. That's crazy. Santa Barbara and back. Even if you're walking and taking the bus, you know, it's active transportation. We don't need to drive for a mile trip to the coffee shop or whatever. That's a trip that can be easily accomplished on a bicycle. It's the perfect thing to be accomplished on a bicycle.
When you decide to ride a bicycle in LA, you're affecting many, many systems. And you're taking a real active role in changing the system because you are no longer participating so much in it anymore. But ultimately, if you're gonna have a healthy environment, you need healthy people. And to have a healthy people, you need a healthy environment. Mobility justice talks about that, right? You cannot keep on creating and feeding an infrastructure that is so destructive and expect there to be justice.
For me, mobility justice is a way of continuing that holistic understanding of the relationships between our, economic and racial and social injustice that we're caught up in, that transportation's not outside of it, it's part of it. Everybody I know who is a bicycle user has stories about aggression that they've encountered from motorists. It's hard to feel like, when you're on a bicycle, you're really seen as much of a human being or as somebody who's worth being saved.
We're in South Central LA, Manchester and Normandy. This is where Frederick Fraser, and as we know him, Moon, was struck by a car almost 2 years ago. Unfortunately, that day he was riding on the gutter lane, which is where usually cars park. At that time, there was no cars parked as there is right now. It was a weekday, daylight. It was daylight when he was riding. He had his kit, his cycling kit, he had his helmet. He went flying from where we are now. This is the cameras that capture where he was struck. He was hit around here, and he flew all the way to where those trees are. We want this to be a protected bike lane on Manchester. And not only Manchester, but like a lot of streets in LA that need it. Because it happens so often. It's so normal now to hear like someone getting killed. He would always come to our Monday night ride. That's why we meet up at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., because we know that there's less cars at nighttime. We feel liberating to like call these our streets, not just their streets, it's like our streets.
All right, so if you get lap due for, we're gonna regroup at the Centinela intersection. Don't fly off the laps. I think that's it, right? Anything else to say? Yeah.
Call mechanicals.
So don't fuck up the laps. Just do 4 or 5. Don't get left behind.
3.
Or 3 if you get lapped twice. And if you get lapped more than that, go to Mix Fits next week. Saddle up, saddle up. Mixed Race is a ride that Rachel and I started about a little over 2 years ago. It took time, but we have a vibrant group ourselves now. We do about 30 miles around the city nonstop. I'm willing to risk my life on a bike riding around this city, which is a sad and horrible thing to have to say and to feel like, but it's the case. It's true. It's shameful. Why is that acceptable?
Biggest challenge is really lack of infrastructure, lack of good places to ride, lack of a connected network. where you can ride your bike on bike-friendly streets or bike lanes, etc.
I'm gonna start this day by fucking cutting through here. Trying to force my way through here. This motherfucker in the bike lane. Why are you in the bike lane? Excuse me.
It's such a slow-moving, difficult thing, and in the meantime, people are dying, and it's horrible. Woon has a, baby he didn't even know he had now that's gonna grow up without his father, so. And his mother lost her son. He was only blocks from his house. It's like such a tragedy.
Haven't looked at this in a while. Oh, God have mercy. This is a bike seat from the bikers. I picked this up out of the street. It was the only thing I picked up. He did the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and graduated from right here. Successfully from right here. So when you say you can't make it in the hood, most people may not, but we did. We did. And he did it with pride. And again, it goes to show you can live in the hood. You don't have to be from the hood. He got on his bike and he got the heck out of here. He had no friends right here. All of his friends he met out riding his bike, and I was good. Don't mingle and mix with anyone over here. Get on your bike and get on. And that's what he did, because he was that guy. He was that kid. He was a good kid. Good kid. Very proud mother. Very proud.
Thursday we're going to court. Yeah, show up. Yeah, I'll bring posters. You bring yourself.
What's another slogan? What's your next slogan, poet? Poet.
License to drive, not to kill.
Poet down here. License to drive.
Oh, you guys wrote it?
Not to kill.
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna ride fixies in the meadow.
I like that.
I only ride fixies.
That's man, this guy has like slogans for days. Hey,
That's why he's the poet.
Can you be my campaign manager in 4 years? When I run against Bernie?
It really comes down to that we need to be a group of people that actually have political power. That's the ultimate thing right there.
3, 2, 1. Justice for Woon.
Justice for Woon is not just for Woon, because we're seeking justice for all. We're seeking justice for all the riders, all of the pedestrians, all of the cyclists that are being injured, that have been injured, that have been killed.
More than 100 cyclists riding for miles tonight, where 22-year-old Frederick Frazier was killed on his bike Tuesday.
My goal is to stiffen the bike laws, period. We need bike lanes. They need lights. They need yielding signs. Some of these accidents are happening because the people are never even seen. You know, you would have no right to be in a bike lane if there was one. Why would you drive in that?
In the case of Woon, that's an example of if there had been, say, a protected bike lane on that street, then it would have been nearly impossible for the driver to have hit him where they did. So in that regard, we can say that the collision itself was potentially was preventable.
But I have to say that even through all that, I do find like a love and beauty in riding bicycles that you kind of forget sometimes in advocacy. You know, you're so rah-rah about getting it done that you forget how beautiful and wonderful it is.
By choosing to ride bikes, especially by choosing to ride bikes in groups of people, you're really humanizing the street in a way that that our city needs. I got to help start Ciclovia, which is now, you know, a decade old and a really great popular open street event here in LA. And they do something like 6 to 8 of the events every year.
The organization also held a ceremony to mark 200 miles of car-free roads since 2010.
And more than 1.5 million people have taken part in these events. This season, there's events every other month.
It's based on a model that was developed in Bogota, Colombia, that began in the 1970s. But the way that they do it in Bogota, they actually create a whole network throughout the city of these car-free streets every Sunday. It would be great to see LA committing to having this thing be a part of our urban landscape. You know, I think there's a lot of very obvious benefits of bicycling, both in terms of ecological impact and its affordability, and for public health in terms of people getting more physical activity. But in a city like LA, where, you know, how you move, who gets to move, have been really tied in with social inequity questions. And I would say the culture within bicycling that best promotes that is the bicycle co-op culture, where people teach each other about bike repair and promote just access to bicycling.
Down. And then when you pump it, you just put it up. I did exactly the opposite, dude. So hold it like that, put this guy on, and then pull that up. So see, now it's pumping. Just like that.
Because you don't know, you know? You lose time and you pay a lot of money to people for very basic things, basically.
So when someone doesn't want to go to a bike shop, they'll come here, because we're an educational space. We'll show them more about their bikes. We won't do the work for you. We do, oh, fix it for me. I'm not, you know, I don't want to get my hands dirty. Here, it's not a thing like you have to. If your hands ain't dirty, you ain't working on your bike. And we'll rather help you out because we want you to get on a bike. That's the whole purpose of us being here. So basically, this place originated from the eco village. There was a messenger guy named Jimmy. So, you know, shout out to Jimmy, because he's a big reason why we're here.
I'm very happy that the Bicycle Kitchen is going, and I'm also happy that there's other spin-off projects in the city of LA. There's bike kitchen spaces all over the world now as well, inspired by seemingly some of the stuff that we did here in LA together as a collective. Yeah, they're great spaces. I always love going to those spaces. They just fill me with joy.
You're a new local hero. Thanks a lot, OJ.
So everything is good?
Everything works perfectly.
Yeah, so with the chain, so we put oil on the chain, basically you don't wipe that off.
Right.
In a few minutes, just wipe it off.
Okay, can I take a little bit of that, because I'm gonna put it in the car, so.
Yeah. And then wipe off.
Thank you very much, OJ, really. You made my day, really. You really made my day.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure, not the hat.
What's your name?
Sure, not the hat. Oh, Peter.
No. The hat helps, but you know, I appreciate the work and the people more.
You can go anywhere on a bike. Trust me, it's the freedom aspect of it. I'm in control, and I love it.
It reminds me of the beauty that it is to just be free, be strong, be able to travel wherever you want on this vehicle that's not really damaging anybody and hurting anybody, and just giving you all the pleasure and all the strength to get around. So yeah, more folks should hopefully experience that in their lives.
I can't describe or explain why it's joyful. I just know that that's the sensation I have when I'm on a bike. And I feel so strongly and passionate about bikes and biking as the answer.
I definitely pass on a lot of that knowledge onto my son. And he's grown up understanding what it is to be on a bicycle and what it is to be in a car, and the big difference that it makes in one's lives and in one's city, for sure.
Hey, support the cause, fool. Hey, Colin from LACBC and someone else, they're inside the court already.
Session, the Honorable Honorable Lynn M. Hobbs, Judge presiding.
All I want to do is to do whatever I can do to help another family that has went through this, or whatever I can do to make sure that no more families go through this, whatever I can do.
The bicycle wheel itself is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It is balanced in such a way that it's almost like making magic. When you look at an individual spoke, like the spoke itself is pretty flimsy. You know, it doesn't really hold much. You can bend it, you can break it in a hurry. But under tension and with a community of other spokes holding it together, it makes a structure that at speeds, with loads, it does not collapse, holds together. It's almost like the perfect symbol of a community. It's the perfect symbol of a movement.
You're right, there's a cyclist coming out. I'm good.
The stronger each individual spoke is, and the more equalized they are to each other, doing the right amount of work as the wheel spins, as the loads are coming into it, the better the wheel is, the better the ride is, the better the experience is altogether.